Well, hello and welcome to my channel, Fabulously Functioning. I'm here in my kitchen preparing for my orders for Bev's Midday Cafe, which I have on my Facebook page. But one of the things on the menu is my fried cabbage. Of course, I've had to do my fried cabbage in a different way. I had already begun to do it in a different way to make it vegan, so I had taken the meat and anything associated with meat out of it. The only thing is I'm going to do extra is I'm going to use just a little less salt and a little less oil in cooking it, but it's still going to be delicious. Still going to be heart healthy, and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited for my customers. So I'm preparing the cabbage. I have over here my crock pots. This is my potato corn chowder, which is slowly simmering. And these are my black-eyed peas, which are slowly simmering. And the other thing that's on my menu this week is vegan cornbread, as well as this fried cabbage. And so I'm just coming on. I want you to see this cabbage. There's a lot of prepping that takes place for me to get my cabbage and all that done. I have to prep a lot before I begin to cook it. And so I've got to prep, which means just chop up. Everything needs to be chopped up, so when I start cooking, it's just a matter of throwing it in the pan and not having to chop up this, that, or the other. So I got my cabbage here, beautiful cabbage. I have this one big leaf I had to pull off of one of them. This is a smaller one, and this is more of a medium-sized one. But that's how much orders I have for cabbage, because people love my fried cabbage. So just going to begin by slicing off, the edges, going around in circles. Slide this back this way just a little bit. You just keep going around. There's several ways I cut cabbage, but today I'm going to do this. Just keep going around till I get to that core that I don't want. And sometimes I just cut off the sides and then take out the core. But I'm going to do it differently. I think I'm getting to the core here. There we go. So there's my core. And this is what I don't need. So I'm going to set that over there. And once I get to the core, then what I do is I do a coarse chop and break up the cabbage, because all of it is good. One day I'm going to make you one of my slaws, which is a good thing because, of course, any vegetable you eat has more enzymes in it, and it's better for you if it's eaten raw. So I really pretty much chop up the cabbage into these nice sized little octagons, squares, or whatever, geometric shapes. But they're bite-sized pieces. Sometimes I'll kind of shred it to give it a different texture, a different look. But I've got quite a bit of cabbage here to cut up. Today is Saturday. Usually I do an encouragement for you. And I think one of the things I can say to you as an encouragement, and just speaking out of my own experience, still dealing with the loss of my father, who I was very close to, and I was just very close to my father. My middle name is, I was given his name as the fifth girl And then he and Mama had a sixth girl, which is our baby sister, Beezy. But no sons. And so by the time it got to me, they said, hey, why don't you just start giving your girls your name because don't look like you're going to get no sons. So my name is Beverly Charles. My dad's name was Charles, Alex Charles. And so when you're going through grief, one of the things he told me while he was lying in the hospital is to be strong. He told me that twice. And so I've been strong and I've tried to get through this as best I can. But in the words of a friend who I talked to this morning, Annette, she wanted to talk to me, and I didn't realize that she needed to talk to me, but I truly needed to talk to her. And she talked about how she lost her brother when she was 15 years of age, and how she didn't deal with it properly. She was 15, her brother was 20. And she has subsequently lost her mother and father in later years. But she says, you got to take that time. She says, you can be strong. She says, but you got to take that time to cry and have your moments. Don't push them away. Have them. And I thank God that she told me that, because, I mean, I've been having my moments, but I've been trying to hold it back because, I know where Daddy is, and I don't want to grieve as those who have no hope. But I do have hope. But I do miss my daddy. He and I were very close. And so my encouragement to you is to have those moments by yourself and cry and laugh and just let it all out. And I must say that when I do that, I do feel better when I let it out, when I talk to God. And just ask him a few questions. I don't ask him why. Daddy's gone. I just ask him things like, why am I having a tough time, having such a hard time dealing with this? I know where he is, and I'm going to be there with him one day. But so my encouragement to you is to take that time for those of you who may be in bereavement, in the process of getting over a loss. You take that time to grieve because it's needful. Because when you hold that stuff into your body, it can really make you sick. And that's the other thing she told me. She had a friend that really became sick because of not grieving properly. And so you have to, most of our illnesses are psychosomatic. When I say psychosomatic, it's whatever is going on in your head. If it's not properly dealt with or released, it comes into your body and turns on that gene for cancer, because we all have the gene, but there are stresses in our life that can turn that gene on, and especially when our bodies are not alkalinized. When we've been eating all the stuff that we really love instead of the stuff that we really need. And when we go through major stresses in life, like the death of a child or the death of a mother or father or husband, those are major stresses in life. And so your bodies need to be healthy, but then your mind needs to be healthy too, because all of those things, what you eat and what you think, affect your body. What's going on in your head and what's going on in your mouth, what's going in your mouth and what's going on in your head affects your body. So we have to be careful what we eat, and we have to be mindful of the things of God and how he can comfort us if we go to him and lean on him and depend on him. He will get us through those tough moments in our lives. And they're not moments. There's like the death of my father, it's not just a moment, it's a lifetime of adjusting to not having him there. So that's my encouragement for today. So, okay, I've chopped up one of these beautiful cabbages. And I need to go ahead and chop up another one. So I'm going to chop up some more cabbage, and then I will be back. Okay, I'm back, and I finished chopping up all 3 cabbages. I have a bowl over here sitting, soaking in water and baking soda. And I also have a bowl here that I'm going to add baking soda to. And I'm going to create this baking soda bath that cleans the cabbage and gets any and all impurities off of here as I let it soak. I wash all my vegetables with baking soda and water and do a soak. So a rinse is not like a soak. When you soak it, it just pulls away all of the dross or whatever you don't want to have in the food you're cooking. It pulls it away. And of course you do a second rinse once you let it soak. So I've got this one soaking and I've got this one soaking over here. And now I'm going to begin to cut up some other things that I need. And by the way, baking soda is a part of my alkalinizing my body. I talk about that all the time, and I just keep talking about it with the hopes of helping someone else during these COVID times. The way your body fights disease is if it's alkalinized. One of the most simplest ways to alkalinize your body. If you don't have a good diet of raw vegetables, a consistent amount of raw vegetables, 8 ounces of warm water, distilled water, teaspoon of baking soda, and lemon inside that water. And the lemon is what makes it so refreshing and soothing. And if you do this 2 to 3 times a day, it keeps your body clean, helps you to keep it alkalinized, and even if you're vegan and you're not eating any meat or any dairy, or that kind of, or sugar, or refined sugar. Me and my husband, we use pure maple syrup for all of our sweetening. We do not use sugar anymore. And of course, he's on a diet to reverse his coronary artery disease. And in 2 weeks, he was able to go back to the doctor. They were getting ready to put a stent. And when they saw his arteries, they said, hey, you have minimal plaque. And so even 2 weeks of being diligent about what we eat, we were able to change what was going to happen, which was they were getting ready to put a stent in my husband. So we thank God for that. We thank God that, He has given us a heart and mind to be healthy with the things that we take into our body. So alkalinizing, Google that and look it up. Alkalinizing, and look up acidity in the body. Acidity. What makes our bodies acidic? Google that and find out the things that makes our bodies acidic. So I try to do this at least 2 times a day, maximum 3 times a day, morning, in the middle of the day, and at night. But if you can't do it 2 times a day, do it in the morning, definitely at night. It's when it does its best work. So that's that. I'm going to put this baking soda over here, and then I need to begin to cut up the rest of my vegetables. So to my fried cabbage, I like to add color. So I always do a few carrots. Definitely celery. I do celery. I've already got some celery here, my celery keeper. But it's not going to be, and I got this from Tupperware, celery keeper. So you clean your celery, cut it up, and you put it whatever size you want. I always keep some of my green leaves for my celery because they add great flavor to soups and stuff, and stir fries. And you fill it up about halfway with water, and you drop it in there and keep it in the fridge. It keeps the celery crisp and very fresh. So I've got a little in here, but it's not going to be enough for the amount of cabbage I'm cooking. So I gotta cut up some more cabbage. Some more celery. And of course, gotta have some onions. So I've got some yellow onions here that I need to cut up as well. I'm going to cut those up, and I also need fresh garlic. Fresh garlic in my fried cabbage. So let's go ahead and get started on these carrots. I'm going to peel them first. I'm looking for my peeler, and it's right over here. I'm going to peel them first, like this. I love this peeler. My husband bought me this peeler. The first one he ever bought me was the best one. It was ambidextrous, so whether you were left-handed or right-handed, it just worked so smoothly. But I don't know, it walked, it disappeared, and so he finally found me another one. It's not like the one I had, but it does the trick, and it cleans off my carrots really well. So I've washed them and cut the ends off of them, and so now I'm peeling them. I really could just slice them up without peeling them, but I'm going to peel them anyway because I just like for them to look as smooth as possible, like that. Okay, and I have one more and 3 more here to go. I don't know what happened to this carrot. It kind of grew crooked, but it still will work for me. So I got my carrots. After I peel them, then I slice them at an angle to where they come out as little oval disc, asymmetrical oval disc, and it makes for a beautiful presentation in the cabbage rather than just chopping them up and throwing them in there. I believe that presentation is everything. Food just tastes better if it looks beautiful, and it looks palatable, and it looks inviting. If it looks a mess, I know they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but I don't know about food now. I don't know about food. In some cases, it have to look like something. So let me get rid of this. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is what I do with these carrots. I cut them at an angle, and I need to use a smaller knife because it just works better for me. So I lay it flat like this. Let me make sure that you can see what I'm doing. What I'll do is I'll move the onions and things this way and pull this way so you can see how I cut it at an angle. So I lay it flat like this, and I hold my knife like this, and then I slide down. So then you just kind of slide across, and this is what you get. You get an oval-shaped carrot, okay? And I say asymmetrical because, you know, it kind of has a slant on it, but it's an oval shape. Instead of just chopping it down where you get the circle, well, I get an oval shape when I slide across the carrot, okay? You have to try that on your own. But I'm going to slide across all of these carrots. I'm going to get them cut up, and then we're going to move on to our celery. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished cutting up all of my carrots. Here they are, beautiful, and I got them sitting over here in this bowl. And I have pretty much cut up all of my celery. And so, like I said, I keep some of the beautiful green leaves from the celery. I cut off the ends and whatnot, and then I cut each stalk in half so that I'm able to store it in my celery keeper. So I keep some of these. These are great for soup. I even keep these portions of the celery. I clip off the ends, and I wash them and I keep them because you can put these in the food processor and chop them up very finely and make a wonderful salads, whatever salads that you may use that include celery, like a chicken salad that I make. And of course, I haven't made chicken salad in a while, but that is a staple with Bev's midday. And maybe I'll get back to making that. But right now, I'm trying to acquire a diet, and I'm not diet, just acquire a lifestyle for eating more raw and just more vegetables. And so I'm trying to create a menu like that as well. So we got here our celery, which is cut up. And what I'm going to do is the same thing I do with my cabbage. I'm going to cut the stalks in half, put it right here. I'm using my salad spinner, but it has a basket inside the bucket. And so I'm going to put it in here, fill this up with water, and add the baking soda as I cut in half each stalk and each celery top. Just going to cut them all in half. Going to add the water and the baking soda. When I cut them in half, it's just about it's the best size to fit them in the celery keeper. Now, of course, I won't be able to fit all this celery in the celery keeper, but most of it I'm using today for different dishes and things. So, I'm going to fill this up with water. Go ahead and add my baking soda. Fill it up with water and let it soak. All right, so I'm back, and I have chopped up and cut up everything. Last time I was on here, when I took a deviation, I was doing my celery. So I've got all the celery cut up. I've got the carrots, the onions. I have my toes of garlic, which I'm going to be adding. And then I cut up I cut up red pepper and orange pepper just to add more flavor and more color to this fried cabbage that I make. So I've got 2 pans going here on the stove. And of course, here's my cabbage. I got 2 pans going on here in the stove. And I'm going to turn, and I'm going to put on just another light here so you can see these 2 pans. I have 2 frying pans. What I typically do, I've got a little grapeseed oil here. Just going to put a little grapeseed oil in this pan and a little grapeseed oil in this pan. A little in here, a little in there. Okay, and to that, I'm going to add a handful of celery. Another handful of celery. Handful of onions. Another handful of onions. A handful of carrots. Another handful of carrots. And just a few peppers for color and flavor. Okay, so I'm going to add that. You can see it simmering here. I'm going to stir it around. Let that sweat a little bit. I have a copper pan back here. Oh, I got a whole toe of garlic in here. I can't do that. Not yet. It's not time for the garlic yet. But this is beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. And in this pan, look at that. Same thing going on in the same pan. Alright? And so I'm going to let that simmer. And to this, I'm going to go ahead and add some liquid smoke. So I can have that smoke flavor that you usually get from salt pork, bacon, or even smoked turkey. but I'm not adding any meat products. I'm going to put just a pinch of Himalayan salt. Sprinkle a little bit of pepper. And then I'm going to stir it a little bit more. Oh, that smells so good. Especially with that liquid smoke in here. Okay. Oh, that looks beautiful. Smells beautiful. I want you to see it again. Check it out. Okay, now I'm going to begin to add some cabbage. Now that I'm sweating the vegetables, I put the cabbage on top, like so, like that. And I always layer my seasonings. Every time I put a layer of something in. Now this is Table Blend, Aldi's brand of Mrs. Dash, table salt-free blend. I just added some of that. Gonna add a little more pepper. Pinch of salt. Alright, we're going to stir that around in there, just like that. Boy, that looks good. Stir this up in here in this pan. I always do 2 pans because when I have large orders, when I have a large amount of orders, I have to do 2 pans at a time. And I'll just keep cooking 2 pans at a time until I have a full chafing pan full of this cabbage. When I say a full pan, it's that big pan that you set down in the chafing racks, and yeah, because that's how many orders I have. I've got to make sure I have enough for my orders, and I have enough for my family. But I'm going to tell y'all what, this is smelling good. And taste and go up. Alright, now to this, I'm going to add some nutritional yeast. Okay, this is nutritional yeast from Kroger. This is Simple Truth, which is a brand, an organic brand, and vegan brand of nutritional yeast that you can get at yogurt. You also can get the Bragg's brand at Fresh Thyme, but it's called nutritional yeast seasoning. No artificial flavors, sugar-free, excellent source of vitamin B12 and niacin. Add some savory, nutty flavor to anything. Okay? And this helps to minimize the amount of salt that we use. Alright, I'm also going to add some liquid aminos, okay? Seasoning, sauce, and marinade. So I'm just going to put a drop in there, a drop in there. Another wonderful season that keeps you from using too much salt. Y'all, this smells so good. And it's so beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Get into it. This is the fried cabbage that all these people done ordered. And they are not going to be disappointed. So I got my 2 pans going back here. Everything smells so good. You know, as it's cooking down, I turn the fire down, and then I'm going to put the lid on so that it can sweat a little bit. And I'm just going to add a tad, maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of vegetable broth to help with the steaming. Okay. Now, Another thing I'm going to add, I have this beautiful fresh organic basil. Basil just adds such a flavor to different dishes, and I usually add dried basil to my cabbage mixture. But Kroger had this big, huge container of organic basil on sale for $1.99, and I said I'm gonna make me some basil butter. I'm gonna make a basil tomato soup from scratch, and I'm also gonna add a little bit of this fresh basil to my cabbage. So I'm just gonna take one of these leaves just like that. Basil is very aromatic, so I'm going to chop some up on a little saucer. Like so, like that. Okay, so I've chopped it up real fine. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, so I'm just going to toss a little bit in there. And I'm going to toss a little bit in there. And when I do my next pans, I will do the same thing once again. This is going to be the best stir-fried cabbage ever. My customers are going to be very thrilled. They're going to enjoy the taste, and it's going to be guilt-free because everything they're eating is going to be good for them and healthy and nourishing. And they won't have any guilt after they get done eating it, because it's not loaded with sugar and fat. All right, so look at that. Look at that. Okay? So for a few minutes I'm going to put the lid on and let them just simmer. And here's the lid for this one. I got all my lids down under here under my stove. Here's the lid for that one. Okay, so we're going to let that simmer for a while. I'm just showing you how I'm going to be cooking this until it's all cooked. And then I shall return.